Chapter 1. The Forgotten Creature. In the cold, distant reaches of the galaxy, far from the bustling hubs of interstellar civilization, lay a planet covered in endless oceans. The waters stretched out as far as the eye could see, and only the occasional jagged rock broke the monotonous horizon. No ships sailed these waters, no beings dared call it home, and few even knew of its existence. This desolate place was where the Lorathians had chosen to abandon their greatest mistake, a magnificent, genetically engineered lion beast that once served as their prized war animal. The Lorathians were renowned for their mastery of bioengineering. Their empire spanned dozens of star systems, with species from countless worlds serving as subordinates under their rule. For millennia, they had ruled with an iron fist, their superiority assured by the monstrous creatures they created in their laboratories. These beasts, a blend of ferocious predators from across the galaxy, were designed to serve as weapons, tools of conquest that could annihilate entire battalions of enemies. The lion beast, or Lorison as it was officially designated, had been one of their finest creations. Standing over 6 meters tall, its body rippled with muscle, and its golden fur shimmered like stardust under the twin suns of Lorathia Prime. Its fangs could pierce the strongest armor, its roar could shake the foundation of cities, and its intelligence far surpassed that of the savage creatures it had been modeled after. It was more than just a weapon, it was the embodiment of Lorathian power. But power, as the Lorathians discovered, came at a price. As the beast grew in size and strength, so too did its awareness. It became more intelligent, more cunning, and soon, it began to question its purpose. The Lorathian scientists noticed strange behavior signs that the beast was becoming restless, perhaps even rebellious. At first, they tried to control it, using various forms of neural implants and behavior-modifying drugs. But the beast's will was too strong. It resisted every attempt to subdue it, and soon, it began to lash out at its handlers. The incident that led to its abandonment was a disaster. During a routine exercise on Lorathia Prime, the beast broke free from its containment, killing several high-ranking officials before escaping into the wilds of the planet. For days, it rampaged across the countryside, evading capture and leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The Lorathians, who had once seen the beast as their greatest triumph, now viewed it as a dangerous liability. In the end, the decision was made. The Lorison was too dangerous to keep alive, but too valuable to simply destroy. The Lorathians devised a crueler fate. They would abandon the creature on a remote water world, far from the rest of the galaxy. There, surrounded by endless oceans and with no land in sight, the beast would be left to drown, its powerful body succumbing to the relentless waves. And so, they did just that. The lion beast had been drugged, sedated, and loaded onto an unmarked freighter. It was dropped into the ocean from high above, the ship disappearing into the stars as the great beast thrashed against the water, struggling to stay afloat. Its roars of defiance echoed across the empty sea, but there was no one to hear them. The Lorison was alone. The days turned into weeks, and still, the beast fought for survival. Its massive limbs kicked against the water, propelling it forward in search of land, but there was none to be found. The planet was nothing but water as far as its eyes could see. The beast's strength began to wane, and with no prey to hunt, it grew weaker by the day. Hunger gnawed at its insides, and exhaustion tugged at its muscles. Still, it refused to give up. The Lorathians had made a fatal mistake when they designed the Lorison. They had given it the body of a predator, the instincts of a killer, but they had also given it something they had not intended it will to survive. No matter how dire the situation, the beast refused to surrender to death. It fought against the waves with every ounce of strength it had left, even as its limbs began to fail and its vision started to blur. But the ocean was unforgiving. The waves crashed over the beast's head, dragging it beneath the surface. It kicked and thrashed, desperate for air, but the weight of its own body began to pull it down into the depths. Its massive paws clawed at the water, trying to find anything to hold on to, but there was nothing. The world above disappeared, and the cold darkness of the ocean enveloped the creature. It was sinking. For what felt like an eternity, the beast drifted in the icy depths, its mind fading as the cold seeped into its bones. It had been abandoned, forgotten by the galaxy, and now it would die alone in the dark. It had failed to find land, failed to escape its fate, and now the end was near. But just as the last flicker of consciousness began to fade, something stirred in the depths below. A faint light appeared in the water, growing brighter as it approached. The beast, barely clinging to life, sensed it but lacked the strength to move. The light grew closer, revealing the outline of something massive, something ancient. A shadow passed over the beast's body, and then it felt a strange sensation of force lifting it out of the depths, carrying it toward the surface. The lion beast, on the brink of death, was being rescued. But by what? Chapter 2. Rescued by the depths. The lion beast lay motionless on the floating wreckage, its immense body heaving with shallow breaths. Its mind, usually sharp and primal, was now clouded by exhaustion and confusion. It had been pulled from the depths by a force it did not understand, rescued from certain death by something massive and ancient. Its once glorious golden fur was now matted with salt and grime, and its once unbreakable body felt frail. Despite the relief of air in its lungs, the lion beast was not at peace. Instinct told it that survival on this forsaken ocean planet required more than brute strength. The thrumming sound in the distance, faint but growing louder, warned it that a new danger approached. But this was not the sound of Lorathian ships returning to reclaim their abandoned creation. No, the tone of these engines was different, darker, more mechanical, as if the very air was trembling under the weight of something unfamiliar. The Lorathan's ears twitched, its eyes, sharp even in their weakened state, fixed on the distant horizon. A silhouette appeared, low in the sky, gradually taking shape as it drew closer. It was an angular vessel, unlike anything the lion beast had seen before. The sleek, black ship moved with purpose, its dark hull reflecting nothing of the surrounding ocean, as if it absorbed light itself. The lion beast growled weakly, baring its fangs in defiance. Whatever this new threat was, it had no intention of going down without a fight. But its body refused to cooperate. Its once powerful muscles had been worn thin by hunger and weeks of struggling against the relentless sea. For the first time in its life, the lion beast felt true helplessness. The ship hovered above the debris where the beast lay, casting a long shadow over the waters below. The lion beast's growl faded as a strange hum filled the air, a deep resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very bones of the planet. The water beneath the beast rippled unnaturally, and the air felt heavier with each passing moment. The hum intensified, and a sudden flash of light erupted from the ship, illuminating the surface of the ocean. A beam of energy shot down from the vessel, scanning the lion beast's massive form. It burned but did not harm, a mere scan. The beast realized, analyzing it. The lion beast's muscles tensed, though it could do nothing in its current state. It felt violated by the foreign technology, its body a specimen to be examined. For the Lorathians, it had been a tool for war. Now, it was nothing more than a curiosity to some other being. Then, as quickly as the light had appeared, it vanished and the humming ceased. The lion beast's ragged breaths were the only sound as the ship hovered silently above. Moments later, something even more perplexing happened. A voice, clear and commanding, rang out not from the ship itself, but from the air around the beast. "You do not belong here, creature of war," the voice said, firm and precise. "You were abandoned by your makers, cast aside like refuse. But we do not see you as refuse. We see potential." The lion beast's eyes widened. It had never heard language like this, and yet it understood. The voice was not speaking in the tongue of the Lorathians, nor in the language of any known civilization, but directly into its mind. The message bypassed language, its meaning transmitted with crystal clarity. "We are the Velari," the voice continued, "the guardians of forgotten worlds and lost creatures. You were left to die in the depths, but the depths are ours, and so you are ours now." The lion beast tried to rise, to show its strength despite its weakened state, but its legs buckled beneath it. It let out a low growl, a futile attempt to assert dominance in a situation far beyond its control. A new light flickered to life in the center of the ship, and a long ramp descended from its hull, stretching down to the debris where the lion beast lay. For a moment, the creature could see movement, a shadow of something approaching down the ramp. Slowly, a figure emerged, cloaked in dark, flowing robes that billowed in the wind. Its face was hidden behind a mask, an angular metallic design with glowing blue eyes that gazed at the lion beast with cold curiosity. The Velari figure walked with deliberate steps, their presence commanding even the churning sea to calm around them. As the figure reached the end of the ramp, they stopped and stood before the massive lion beast. Despite the creature's size and its once terrifying strength, the figure showed no fear. "You are not the first of your kind that we have found," the Velari said, their voice emotionless. "Others like you have been left to perish on worlds deemed uninhabitable. But we do not let potential go to waste. You will be useful to us, as they have been." The lion beast growled, a feeble protest against the notion that it could be tamed or controlled again. It had tasted freedom once, even in the chaos of its escape on Lorathia Prime. It would not go back to servitude, not to the Lorathians, and certainly not to these mysterious Velari. The figure crouched, bringing themselves closer to the beast's level. They raised a hand, gloved and alien, hovering just above the beast's snout. "You misunderstand. We do not seek to control you. We seek to forge an alliance, one of mutual benefit. Your strength, your resilience, they will be needed in the days to come." The lion beast hesitated. An alliance? The word was foreign to it. Its life had been nothing but orders, control, and obedience to the Lorathians. But this was different. There was something in the Velari's voice, something that hinted at more than domination. Perhaps it was not being treated as a mindless weapon. Perhaps, for the first time, it could have agency. Before the lion beast could react further, the Velari figure stood tall once more and gestured toward the ship. "Come with us. Rest. Recover. You are no longer alone in this universe. And soon, you will have the chance to claim your revenge on those who betrayed you." The words resonated deep within the beast's mind. Revenge. The Lorathians had abandoned it, cast it aside like garbage. They had used it for war, and when it no longer served their needs, they had left it to drown in the abyss. Rage boiled inside the lion beast at the memory of its creators. It had been their tool for far too long. Now, it would have the chance to turn its fury on them. Chapter 3. The Rise of the Forgotten Beast. The black vessel carrying the lion beast and its mysterious Velari saviors soared through the void of space, leaving behind the desolate water planet. The lion beast, now nestled in a massive containment chamber aboard the ship, rested as it recovered its strength. Its body, still aching from the endless battle with the ocean, slowly began to heal. The Velari had seen to it that the chamber was filled with the nutrients and energy the beast needed, and for the first time in weeks, it felt a sense of security, albeit a tentative one. The lion beast, however, was not idle. While its body rested, its mind churned with thoughts of the Lorathians, the ones who had abandoned it. Rage simmered deep within, but so too did a gnawing curiosity about these Velari. They had spoken of an alliance, of mutual benefit, and yet, their true intentions remained a mystery. The containment chamber's walls hummed with a soft, continuous vibration, a reminder that the ship was traveling faster than light through the uncharted regions of space. Above, the ceiling glowed faintly, casting a soft blue light that mimicked the appearance of a night sky. The Velari had designed the chamber to soothe, but the lion beast felt no peace in the artificial environment. As it stirred, a soft hiss sounded from the chamber's entrance. The door slid open, and the same Velari figure who had first approached the lion beast on the wreckage stepped inside. Their mask and flowing robes gave them an ethereal appearance, and as they moved closer, the beast noticed subtle changes in the figure's energy. It was calm but charged, like a coiled spring waiting to snap. The Velari stood before the lion beast, and without preamble, they spoke, their voice cutting through the still air like a blade. "You are healing well, but you must learn to harness your strength in new ways if you are to survive what lies ahead." The lion beast's eyes narrowed. It rose to its feet, its massive form towering over the Velari, but it did not feel intimidating in this moment. The Velari was unshaken, and their words seemed to carry more weight than the beast expected. "I was strong before," the lion beast thought, though it could not speak. The Velari's mental connection was clear enough to understand its unspoken response. "What more do I need?" The Velari's eyes, glowing blue behind the mask, flickered briefly as they considered the beast's unspoken defiance. Strength alone is not enough. You fought well against the oceans of that world, but the enemies you will face, your true enemies, are far more dangerous than waves and water. The Lorathians have grown complacent, yes, but they wield technology that can subdue even the greatest of beasts. You must be more than a weapon. At the mention of the Lorathians, the lion beast's growl rumbled low in its throat. Its mind was consumed with images of its creators, of the scientists who had treated it as nothing more than a tool, a weapon to be used and discarded. Rage flared in its chest, and its claws flexed in anticipation of the inevitable confrontation. The Velari seemed to sense this. Yes, they said softly, their tone almost soothing. Revenge is a powerful motivator, but it must be tempered with control. Without control, you will fall to the same fate as before. The Lorathians will not hesitate to destroy you if they perceive you as a threat, and make no mistake, they will perceive you as a threat. The lion beast's growl softened. Control was not something it had ever been taught. It had been bred for combat, trained to obey commands without question, to destroy without hesitation. The concept of restraint, of precision, was foreign to it. The Velari took a step closer, their hand raised as if offering something intangible. We will teach you. We will show you how to harness your power, not as a slave to your instincts, but as a creature of purpose. With our guidance, you will become more than a mere weapon of war. You will become a force of reckoning. For a moment, the lion beast hesitated. Trust was not something it gave freely, especially not after what the Lorathians had done. But there was something in the Velnari's words, a promise that resonated deep within its primal mind. The idea of being more than just a tool, of having a purpose beyond destruction, was new. It was tempting. The Velari, sensing the beast's internal conflict, continued. We do not ask for your servitude. We offer you freedom, but with it comes responsibility. You will fight, yes, but you will fight for yourself, for a cause that transcends the petty ambitions of your former masters. The lion beast's eyes, sharp and calculating, studied the Velari. It had been betrayed once before, abandoned by those who had created it. But the Velari were different. They did not seek to control it as the Lorathians had. They offered an alliance, one built on mutual respect and shared goals. And so, the lion beast made its decision. It would accept the Velnari's offer, but not out of trust or loyalty. It would do so because it knew that in order to take vengeance on the Lorathians, it needed to be stronger, smarter, and more controlled than it had ever been. The Velari nodded, sensing the beast's resolve. Come, they said. Your training begins now. Over the next several weeks, the lion beast underwent a transformation unlike anything it had experienced before. The Velari did not seek to enhance its physical form. Its body was already a masterpiece of bioengineering, but instead, they focused on its mind, its instincts, and its ability to strategize. The Velari training regimen was grueling, testing the limits of the beast's endurance and patience. The lion beast was pitted against holographic enemies and simulated environments, each designed to challenge its primal instincts. At first, the beast fought as it always had, with raw strength and fury, tearing through its enemies with brute force. But the Velari were quick to point out its weaknesses. Do you see how easily you were lured into traps? One Velari instructor said after a particularly frustrating session. Your enemies know your patterns, your movements. They will exploit your anger and impatience. You must learn to control these impulses. At first, the lion beast resisted. It was a predator. Its instincts had kept it alive for years. But the more it trained, the more it realized that the Velari were right. Raw strength was not enough. Its creators, the Lorathians, had taught it only how to destroy. The Velari were teaching it how to think. Each session brought new challenges. The beast learned to anticipate its enemies' movements, to plan its attacks rather than charge blindly. It learned to recognize patterns, to exploit weaknesses in its opponents. And most importantly, it learned patience, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Velari were impressed with how quickly the lion beast adapted. In time, it became a far more dangerous creature than it had been before, not because of its strength, but because of its newfound intelligence. As the lion beast's training progressed, the Velari began to reveal more of their true purpose. They were not just wandering guardians of forgotten worlds. They were revolutionaries, seeking to overthrow corrupt regimes that ruled through fear and oppression. The Lorathians were only one of many targets on their list. Your revenge against the Lorathians aligns with our goals, the Velari leader said one evening during a rare moment of rest. They have grown complacent, their empire bloated and corrupt. They do not deserve to rule the galaxy, and we will see to it that they do not. The lion beast listened, its heart still filled with the desire for vengeance. The Velari were giving it the tools it needed, the strategy it lacked. But even as it grew stronger, a new question began to form in its mind. What would it do once the Lorathians were gone? Would its life still have meaning beyond revenge? For now, the lion beast pushed those thoughts aside. There would be time to ponder its future later. For now, it had one goal: to destroy the Lorathians, and it would stop at nothing to achieve that. The final test came when the lion beast was sent on a mission with the Velari. A small Lorathian outpost on a distant planet had been discovered, and the Velari wanted to see how well the beast had learned. This was not a training simulation, this was real. As the lion beast descended upon the outpost with the Velari at its side, it felt a surge of adrenaline. This was the moment it had been waiting for. The first step toward its ultimate revenge. The Lorathians would soon learn the price of betrayal. Chapter 4. Vengeance Unleashed. The journey to Lorathia Prime was silent, the tension on the Velari ship thick enough to cut through. The lion beast sat in its containment chamber, its massive form still and coiled with barely restrained energy. The weeks of training, the relentless simulations, and the intense mental conditioning had honed its instincts to a razor's edge. It was no longer the mindless war creature the Lorathians had once controlled. Now, it was something far more dangerous, a calculating predator with the intelligence and focus of a seasoned warrior. Outside the viewport of the ship, the shimmering blue-green orb of Lorathia Prime loomed. It had been months, perhaps even years, since the lion beast had seen this world, the place of its birth, the home of its creators, and the site of its betrayal. The sight of it filled the beast with a deep, simmering rage. Every moment of abandonment, every struggle for survival in the endless ocean, came flooding back with ferocious clarity. But this time, the rage was tempered. The Velari had taught the beast the value of patience, of planning. The Lorathians had wronged it, but they would not fall to brute force alone. The lion beast had learned to wait for the right moment, to strike with precision when its enemies were least prepared. The Velari ship descended into Lorathia Prime's atmosphere, cutting through the thick clouds like a silent predator stalking its prey. As they approached the capital city, the lion beast containment chamber opened, and the same Velari leader who had first approached the creature on the ocean wreckage stepped inside. The time has come, the Velari said, their glowing blue eyes visible through the mask. You know what must be done. The lion beast's muscles tensed as it rose to its full height, towering over the Velari figure. In its mind, images of the Lorathian scientists flashed, those who had created it, tested it, and ultimately discarded it. It could see their faces, hear their voices, and remember the cold, clinical way they had discussed its fate as though it were nothing more than a tool. We will strike swiftly, the Velari continued. Their defense systems are minimal at the moment. Our spies have ensured that most of their military fleet is off-world, engaged in distant conflicts. The capital is vulnerable, and this is when we strike. You will lead the assault. The Lorathians will not expect one of their own creations to be their undoing. The lion beast let out a low growl of understanding. This was the moment it had been waiting for, the chance to tear down the empire that had betrayed it. And it would not fail. The Velari ship landed on the outskirts of Lorathia Prime's capital city, cloaked by advanced stealth technology. As the ship's ramp lowered, the lion beast bounded down with lethal grace, its massive paws barely making a sound as they hit the ground. The Velari followed closely behind, their dark robes blending into the shadows of the city's outskirts. The capital was a sprawling metropolis of towering spires and gleaming structures, a testament to the Lorathians' once great empire. But to the lion beast, it was nothing more than a den of its enemies. Its keen eyes scanned the area, noting the locations of the automated defense systems and the patrols of Lorathian guards. The Velari had been right, the city was vulnerable, its defenders scattered across the galaxy in distant wars. The beast's sharp senses picked up the scent of Lorathian blood nearby. A patrol was approaching, a group of 6 soldiers, armed but unaware of the danger that lurked in the shadows. The lion beast crouched low, its body tensing like a coiled spring. The Velari remained still, watching, waiting for the beast to make its move. As the patrol rounded the corner, the lion beast struck. In an instant, it was upon them, moving with blinding speed. Its massive paws swiped through the air, claws slicing through armor and flesh with ease. The Lorathian soldiers barely had time to scream before they were torn apart, their bodies crumpling to the ground in a pool of blood. The beast stood over the remains, its golden fur now stained red. It did not revel in the kill, did not linger over its fallen foes. This was not about the joy of the hunt, this was about revenge. Cold, calculated revenge. Efficient, the Velari leader said, stepping over the bodies of the fallen soldiers. But there are many more inside the palace. That is where the true battle lies. Are you ready? The lion beast turned its gaze toward the towering spire in the center of the city, the palace, where the Lorathian High Command and the Emperor resided. This was the heart of the empire, the place where the decisions had been made to discard the creature like a broken tool. I am ready, the beast thought, its mind focused and clear. The assault on the palace was swift and brutal. The lion beast led the charge, smashing through the gates with terrifying force, its massive body a blur of claws and fangs as it tore through the Lorathian guards. The Velari followed, their movements precise and deadly, their energy weapons cutting down anyone who stood in their way. The halls of the palace echoed with the sounds of battle screams of terror, the clash of weapons, and the growls of the lion beast as it tore through its enemies. Lorathian soldiers, scientists, and officials scrambled to defend themselves, but they were no match for the creature they had once controlled. The lion beast moved with purpose, its mind singularly focused on its goal, the Emperor. The throne room was vast and ornate, filled with golden decorations and towering statues of Lorathian rulers from centuries past. At the far end of the room, seated on a grand throne of shimmering crystal, was the Lorathian Emperor, a figure draped in regal robes, his face pale and drawn with fear. The lion beast approached, its eyes locked on the Emperor. The room was silent, save for the steady thud of the beast's paws as it crossed the marble floor. The Emperor's guards lay dead at the entrance, their bodies torn apart in the chaos of the assault. The Emperor trembled as the lion beast stood before him, its massive form towering over the throne. His eyes were wide with terror, and his voice shook as he spoke. What are you?" he stammered, his gaze flickering between the beast and the Velari who stood silently at the entrance of the throne room. The lion beast growled, a deep, resonant sound that filled the room. It did not need to speak for the Emperor to understand. This was his creation, his weapon, abandoned and left to die, now standing before him in all its fury. The Emperor fell to his knees, his once proud form crumbling under the weight of his guilt and fear. "Please," he begged, his voice barely a whisper. "Have mercy. I didn't know, I didn't dash." The lion beast's growl deepened, its rage swelling as it remembered the cold, detached way the Lorathians had discussed its fate. They had not cared about its life, about its suffering. To them, it had been nothing more than a tool, a disposable asset. The Velari leader stepped forward, their glowing eyes fixed on the Emperor. "This is the fate of those who abuse their power," they said, their voice calm and cold. "You created a monster, and now you will face the consequences." With a final, earth-shaking roar, the lion beast lunged. Its massive claws sliced through the Emperor's chest, ending his life in an instant. The once mighty ruler of the Lorathian Empire crumpled to the ground, his blood pooling around the base of the throne. The lion beast stood over the body, its breath ragged but steady. The vengeance it had sought for so long was complete. Outside the palace, the capital city of Lorathia Prime lay in ruins. The Velari had completed their mission. The Lorathian Empire had fallen, its leaders slain, its defenses shattered. The once great civilization was now nothing more than a crumbling memory. The lion beast, now standing at the edge of the palace's grand balcony, gazed out over the city. The fires of destruction burned brightly, but in the beast's mind, there was a sense of calm. It had achieved what it had set out to do. The Lorathians were no more. But as the beast stood there, watching the smoke rise into the sky, it felt something new, a sense of uncertainty. What now? For so long, its life had been consumed by vengeance, by the desire to destroy those who had wronged it. But with that goal now accomplished, the lion beast was left with a question it had never considered before. What did it want? What was its purpose now? The Velari leader approached, standing beside the beast as they two gazed out over the burning city. "You are free now," the Velari said softly. "What will you do with that freedom?" The lion beast did not respond immediately. Its mind, once filled with rage, now churned with possibilities. For the first time in its life, it had the power to choose its own path. And whatever path it chose, it would be on its terms.